That's some
Good,
happy music to get started on a Sunday morning.
especially at your time, 7:30.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that demonstrates the commitment to 31 days. It's Sunday, it's 7:30 for you, and you're still doing it.
yeah, and that music on a Sunday morning is probably not the way to get the day going.
No. Mind you, for me, it's 1:30, so I'm okay.
Yeah,
So,
whatever.
whatever. Anyway, welcome everybody. This is episode 14 of our 31 Days of August live recording.
Yeah, and I'm actually shocked where we've gotten it down. I mean that, and so we were just a few minutes ago talking about updates and things like that. I love the one thing that I've noticed is when we first started 14 days ago doing this every day, and I don't recommend this, but we kind of had a plan and a plot, and and like 5 minutes before we went live, just like a virtual event, we were like, okay, we're ready. This is good. On this one, it literally got to 7:29, and we're like, oh crap, time to go live. So when you do these things every single day, you get more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
But B, you got to watch out you don't get complacent.
Well, that's it. That's it. Exactly. However, we are kind of in a lucky position because the things, well, it's not lucky. We're talking about things that we know about. So, yeah, we should perhaps look. I mean, last Sunday we had a look back at the things we did, that how the previous week went, and we're going to go into a different thing today. But we are getting a little bit more better with the topics that we're covering. That means that we can talk about them without having to go into a big, huge plan.
True. Bullet points, because it is the bullet list.
It is indeed. So yeah, so the last 7 days, I think we're getting there. My lighting system is still a bit
wonky. That goes. But today we are talking about QR codes from GravityWiz. Now, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
I was going to say QR codes. I personally think they're still really, really underrated.
Well, they are, and I am one of those people that I look at how a larger organization does something, and then I try and back it out and figure out how to do it for a lot less money for my small and medium sized association and organization clients. Right. So I will look at someone's online registration system that does X, Y, and Z and go, okay, it won't be perfect, but we could do it this way for a lot less money. So that you can have the same tools, the big boys. Well, GravityWiz introducing QR codes actually is a big deal, and I don't even think anybody knows what GravityWiz is. So when did we do the WordPress episode?
Okay, so that was July 25th, where we talked about the plugins for event registration.
Plugins for event registration. And I know my favorite plugin for event registration is Gravity Forms. I like Gravity Forms just because, well, it's the best form builder out there for WordPress. It is not free. It is a premium plugin, but there are a lot of things that plug into Gravity Forms. GravityWiz, which they then call them Gravity Perks, is something that plugs into Gravity Forms. You following me here? Because I don't want to.
Oh no. So basically, we're saying that even though it's a plugin for WordPress, it has its own little ecosystem that extends the functionality.
So I'll keep rolling, and you reel me back if I say something that's confusing. So with GravityWiz, you can do things like in your registration form, put limits on something like inventory. So for example, if you only have 100 spots for lunch, you can use one of the perks that come in GravityWiz and give yourself inventory on items. You can limit the dates people can choose something. So for example, if you're doing an incentive program and people can only fly in between this date and this date, they can actually choose what, right? It forces them to pick within those dates. There are a lot more perks that GravityWiz has. And the newest is QR codes. Okay,
so we're saying so far, Gravity Forms has its own plugin ecosystem thing. So you can plug in things to the plugin to extend functionality. You can set some logic to it. So you can say, if this happens, then that happens, because that way you can limit, a number of people who are applying for an event or control things. And now they've come up with QR codes.
Correct. Now they do one of two things. So they can generate a QR code, or it can read a QR code. So when people fill out their registration form, and then they select, say, some sessions they're going to attend,
Yeah,
it'll output a QR code that can be emailed, right? It can be part of the registration confirmation email. They bring that to the site. You scan their QR code, and it does do mailing label scanning, right? You can scan a mailing label, which is basically a badge. What most people don't understand is whenever you're looking for a printer or anything like that, essentially badges are mailing labels. So it can scan to a mailing label. So you can scan that QR code. It will then print their badge. On the flip side, if they have signed up for sessions, you can scan them on the way into the session, and it will log who's going into a session. So that is a big deal. Is it perfect? Is it going to do everything that a session scanner that costs $15,000 can do? No, of course not. But you can start to at least on the path to that by at least capturing names of people who are going into sessions by scanning and printing a badge. You can do that now. And you can do that all it's relatively inexpensive, right? Between Gravity Forms and GravityWiz, I think you're under $400.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And then you have it.
So let's just go back a little bit. So when we say QR code, we're talking about a little square of pattern of black dots. Sometimes they can be customized to have a shape inside, but basically it's a dot pattern that represents a certain amount of data that can be read out just by scanning those pattern of dots. I know that QR codes can have an email address inside them. They can have a web address or a series of numbers.
Or actually any data field.
Any data field. Obviously that each one is going to be uniquely created for each badge. Did you know that QR actually stands for quick response? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Which makes a lot of sense, because if you want a quick response, then you scan a QR code, up comes the data on the screen, and you take an action based on it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Did I know that?
No, well, good old Wikipedia.
I'm learning something on a Sunday.
You are indeed. Yeah, so they're really, really handy. I mean, there's an awful lot of uses. I still don't quite get why people put QR codes embedded on a web page, because normally QR codes are used to link to a website. So, for example, if it's a poster on a tree or on a sign somewhere, it says, scan this code to get the latest, benefits. You scan it. That's brilliant. But why put it on a web page? Because you're already online.
There's no reason to.
No. So
because a lot of people, well, maybe not. So I can come up with use cases. So you put a QR code in a web page. The web page is at the registration desk with a monitor facing outward. People can scan it and download an app.
Okay. Yeah. I suppose if you're in a shopping centre and they've got one of those really huge portrait screens with the latest deals going on outside of a shop, then okay.
Even that's a reach, though.
But that's still what I would call a web page. I mean, this is if you've got a website that you're looking on your phone or tablet or computer at home, don't put a QR code on.
No. However, but and we've been doing this for a long time, right? Without the QR, we've been messing around, because again, clients like the functionality of print on demand badges, right? It is nice. So we have was it Datamax, I think, printer. We can put links in the show notes later, but so we actually generate So we actually, the way that we've been doing it is because we're doing this on the cheap, and we do have an episode on printing badges on the cheap coming up, but we will actually export the names from the registration system, add a QR code, then put those right. And that's big and cumbersome. Whereas now, when people fill out their registration form, GravityWiz will automatically create the QR code with the data fields that we want within that QR code.
And then when the QR code gets scanned, it goes to the right page on the website that then displays whatever it is you need to display. So is it, the way I see QR codes is like a connection between the physical world, as in it's printed on a badge, on an envelope, on a poster, wherever, and it takes you to the internet where you arrive at a web page somewhere.
Yeah, or an action happens. So
Yeah.
the action in this case is, again, using the mailing label, because badges are essentially mailing labels, is when somebody scans the QR code, it then sends it to the printer and prints out their badge.
Cool.
And,
Okay.
and it is easier than you think. Now, I will say it's easier than you think, but it is not simple. Right. It is something that, whenever whenever you watch a big company come in to set up badge printing and registration desks at big conferences, and they're working for the whole day, well, there's a reason, right? Doing it this way, there is, you've got to make sure the printers are hooked up and everything is networked and all of that.
Yeah.
So there is that. It's not as easy as, oh, it'll take me 5 minutes and I'm done.
You could have put some thought to it, because you've also got to know, match the QR code up with what you need to have actually. Yeah, there's some thought needs to go into it. It may take a little while to set up, but when you're using it, it saves an awful lot of time.
Oh yeah. Well, and the nice thing is, for so many small and medium-sized associations, that don't have massive budgets for their events, literally, this can be a game changer by allowing you to track a lot more data in real time. For so many organizations, they print their badges at the office before they have their event, and they stuff them into the badge trays, and they take them down to the convention center or the hotel ballroom, and then they hand out badges. And then when that's done, they look and see who isn't checked in. That is how they see who showed up and who didn't. But now, and if they have to print a badge, they'll run over to Word, right? I see this all the time. They run over and they'll type a name into the Avery 3x4 badge layout, and they'll print a whole sheet of badges just for one badge. So honestly, it's time consuming. It's whereas this gives you a little bit of slick, but in the long run, it does save a lot of time and a lot of money.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, if you're printing on demand, that means you're not printing badges off for people who haven't turned up. So saving paper, a little bit more eco-friendly.
Yeah. And your badges look a lot better, right? Because you actually print your badge stock before you ever get to the place. Like, there are so many organizations that they use those Avery templates. And so you're literally printing your logo and all of that at the same time you print your badge. And it's those gnarly inkjet printers that it just never looks perfect. Whereas if you send your badge stock to your local printer and have them do your, they look nice, sharp. And then the only thing on site you're printing is the name.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go. That's all I got, Bob. That was QR codes from GravityWiz, and they literally just introduced this, I believe, last week. So we test everything before. Obviously, we have it now. I haven't even had a chance to look at it, but we are actually going to be running a test of GravityWiz and the QR code functionality, which perhaps I shall make it into a video.
Ooh, exciting! That'll be good.
Yeah, I'll be like one of those YouTubers.
We're getting more and more like YouTubers. It's brilliant.
Maybe I'll quit this and go into boxing like that other YouTuber.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. It's a weird thing to do.
Right? Hey man, you got all the money in the world and you want to get your bell rung.
There you go. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy world.
All right. So there you go. That is the GravityWiz update that now does QR code. What do we have on tap for tomorrow?
Good question. Let me have a quick look. And we have tomorrow, 15th. It's a cool tool review again. It's humans.
Ooh, that'll be a
Wait,
good one.
isn't it a very Ferengi way of saying humans?
Yeah,
Humans.
I don't know if it would be a Star Trek reference, but yes, actually, it would
Yeah.
be.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I watched too much.
Oh, I got it.
Star Trek. Well, that's
I
all
got
right then. Yeah, nobody else is. That's fine.
it. All right. Cheers, and we will see. Oh, go visit us, bullet-list.com.
You almost forgot.
I did.
Yes, and don't forget to come and find us, obviously, on the Bullet List group on Facebook, but we're also using our own pages. So updates can also be found on Event Planner News Facebook page and the Planner Wire page and on our YouTube channel, where hopefully you're watching this.
See ya.
See ya.